Okay. Hello, everyone. Hey, Robert, using the chat. Hi, everyone. This is the info session for our Viterbi Startup Garage residency program, which happens twice a year. This info session happens to be for our fall cohort. I'll go through a few different things. One of the things that I like to encourage you all to do is to join our mailing list. The mailing list is simply just the easiest way to know what's going on because we're posting it. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck trying to find that information on your own through our web pages and through other people's solicitations. So the QR code is there. I'll also drop it in the chat. I'll do another big copy paste and put all of the, well, I can actually do that right now. This is another just quick drop into the chat of a bunch of links that might be useful to you. But yeah, let's get this show on the road. Welcome all of you guys, all of you. You're not all guys. Okay, the residency program is many things. For the purposes of today's meeting, we will talk about programs, resources, and about our community. Some of the questions I will answer are on the screen, but honestly, these are frequently asked questions. A good thing to do is to ask me your unique questions if something comes to mind as we move along. You can use the hand raise function, or you can wait until a break and I say, hey, does anyone have any questions? It's totally up to you. I prefer for you to ask it out loud and not put it in the chat, simply because I'm asking you guys to network in the chat. And so then what happens is I just can't see it because I'm not scrolling through it. But if I miss your question, please let me know by raising your hand. Thank you very much. Okay. What makes the garage unique? Now, the garage has existed long before my time, and it was different. It has many iterations. It has been in the hands of many people. And so a lot of people still have some misconceptions, even after all this time, about what the garage is and what makes it so interesting and unique. I think the major thing that really makes the garage unique is that it's a free resource. And by free, I mean totally free. There's no catch. We're not going to sneak some sort of bill on you or take any element of your business, including your IP. Even though we are associated with the university and the university pays for us to exist, it's anything that you develop while you're with us does not become university IP. Now, who do we accept? That has been pretty standard ever since I started. That doesn't change much. We are an in-person residency program, which means that you should be in LA. If you're not in LA, if you're, for instance, in the greater Los Angeles area, that might not be bad as long as you don't mind the commute. But we really want founders in the space. That's what makes the space great, is for you all to be working side by side, participating in the programs, but really helping each other out and creating that community aspect. So 3+ days a week is what we require. Full-time founders and no solo founders, we have been very strict about this. We make exceptions on occasion, depending on the team. If you are a solo founder on this call, that doesn't mean you're completely out of luck. Of course, you can apply, but then the responsibility is for you to help us to understand why you, being a solo founder and managing this startup on your own shoulders by yourself, isn't going to somehow fall apart. So making that really clear in your application is very important. Let's see. Post-ideation, tech-enabled. So you can't come in with an idea and a dream. You have to have something that you've already done a ton of customer discovery and you've started building. It could be pre-launch, but we want to know that you have product market fit. If you are still trying to figure out who your customer is, if you're still trying to figure out exactly what your product is and what it does, and if anybody wants to pay for it, that's too early for us. But if you're on that cusp where you've done all that work and you're ready, maybe you're sitting on a few beta customers, or you have a bunch of LOIs, or you're looking to do a pilot, or you're about to launch, that's a good place to consider joining us. And we also take teams well beyond that. Nothing so much before it. And tech-enabled basically means, a CPG only if tech is at the core of your business. We want to make sure that we stay true to the foundation of where we come from, which is the engineering school, Viterbi. And the more complex and deep and interesting and disruptive and innovative your technology is, the better. We want to be part of the stories that are really changing the way businesses are built in the world. Okay, and then industry agnostic, you can come from any industry. In fact, we actually purposefully take teams from very different industries for each cohort. It's really great for us to not all be talking about, I don't know, Web3 blockchain for investment all day long, every day. So any industry is fine by us. Early stage, as I mentioned, it would be really great if you already have some funding. As all of you may or may not know, funding is very hard to come by these days. So that isn't our only validating element. If you've participated in other programs, if you've been pre-vetted by another accelerator, those are all great things to add to your application, because it just helps us to understand that you've been actually meeting the expectations that you've set out for yourself while other people have been watching you. So tracking is great. And okay, here's a big one. USC affiliation not required. You don't have to be a current student. You don't have to be an alumni. You don't have to be faculty. You don't have to have ever stepped on the campus at USC or know a USC person. That's not required. We obviously will love it if you are USC, and we will play favorites in a lot of ways because we want to continue to support our community. That's a huge part of what the kind of ethos of the garage is that it's a very USC centered approach to innovation in Silicon Beach. And so if you are at all affiliated, please do not forget to mention that in your application. We ask pretty explicitly, but yeah, we love to support our students, faculty and researchers. However, if you are from another university, or if you are just someone who had a good idea and built it in their own little garage and want to come to the Viterbi Startup Garage, you can apply. And then, the last one, people who want to work and play at the garage, that is a culture fit. And I cannot stress how important that is. We've had plenty of teams come through the garage with their very unique team cultures and personalities. The ones that do the best are the ones that really aren't afraid of people knowing what's going on with them. If you are, if you have hesitancy with people kind of knowing about your operations or what you're doing, if you have a desire to hide yourself away while you work, it's probably not a good place to be. It is for the most part, a shared office space with breakout offices that you can do private meetings and calls and things like that. But, we're all around each other all the time. So it's important for that to be part of what you're comfortable with. How do we decide? So we do 2 recruiting cycles, as I mentioned. This one is for the fall. You incubate with us for a year. And that year, basically, you'll have one other cohort with you that has predated you for 6 months, and then they will graduate, and then you'll be the senior cohort, and then you'll have a new cohort come in, and they'll be with you for the remaining 6 months of your residency. So you get to actually meet a lot of founders while you're at the garage, which is really fun and interesting. And we take about 5 to 6 teams per cycle. The way we decide on those teams is through Zoom interviews with our mentor team. And if you don't get in this cycle, apply again. There's no shame or harm in applying again, except, and I say this every time, if you haven't made any progress since your last application, if your application is going to look exactly the same 6 months after you applied, probably don't apply again. If you've made great success and met your milestones, especially the ones that you put in your first application, and you apply again, that's huge for us. That means that we can actually see you tracking towards your goals, which I think is a big important element to how we select founders. We want to know that people are busy working on their businesses and getting things done. Now, this is important because people talk about the garage, people refer people to the garage, and oftentimes what they say or what they refer isn't necessarily 100% what we do. So that info session is meant to also kind of detangle these concepts and ideas. So the office space is a given. That's a huge part of the residency program, is that you have a place for your business, a home, 24/7 access, by the way. We also provide programming, which I will get into, and these are things that happen throughout the year, ways for you to network and learn and connect with resources and community members that we've kind of managed to help us build out those programs. We are assisting you in product and business development. In that, we're thinking of you as a business and we're supporting you from the business perspective. We connect you with USC resources, including technical talent through our students that we engage with, and our network of investors, which is constantly growing. So those are all really important things that we do. Things that we don't do is take equity in your company, and this is an important one, so I'm going to say it very distinctly. We don't provide you resources in machinery, lab space, or in actually sourcing you technical talent, you know, as a resource. We have access to a lot of these things through our partnerships and our relationships, but they are not a given through the garage. Meaning, you know, if you need wet lab space, that's an important part of your operations. That's great. You'd have to figure that out on your own. Same thing with like even the smallest amount of fabrication. Like we aren't allowed by the building to even do soldering in the garage. And so keep that in mind. We've had hardware teams join the garage, and what they do is they basically split their time between when they're working on the business with us, and then they work on the product in wherever they have that kind of set up. So it's not impossible. In fact, it's very possible. I just want to make it clear now that these are things that we do not provide. Okay, before I jump into programs, I'm going to just give it a quick little pause and see if anyone has any questions regarding what I just said. No questions is good, so don't feel like you have to pull one out.
Can I ask a question? Hi, thank you for the presentation. I might also open my camera. The t-shirt was unintended, but it feels nice with the theme right now. Are there any kind of caps on the upside of the startups that can join? Because I know it's referred to as early stage, but we're a startup looking for kind of Series A right now. Is there a cap on that side?
No, so I mean, I think for up to raising Series A, like if you're approaching Series A, that's still a good place. So the range beyond Series A, you're kind of operating well above the teams in the garage. That doesn't mean you're not a good candidate, but I think the way we would imagine you and your participation post Series A is more as a garage resource. I think we would engage differently. A lot of the things that we would, because at that point, you're really cooking because you have enough capital to scale like crazy. You're building out your teams. You are in sales mode like crazy. You know what I mean? That's a whole new level of operational success that happens pretty quickly. So in my mind, you being a resource by providing kind of the ins and outs, connections and tips and tricks to the teams would be how you would engage with us. And what you would get is a place to do that, right? The office right at the marina, looking over the ocean. It's a great place to be when things are going really well. I mean, post Series A, looking out at the ocean and kind of reflecting on your is not a bad way to run a business.
No, I agree.
So I don't think so. It doesn't, being super successful does not keep you out of the garage. But I do think that there is probably an element of team size that we wouldn't be able to house. But that's on a case-by-case basis. We actually do love for teams to grow at the garage. We have enough space. We purposefully only take the amount of teams that we do because we expect them to grow while they're with us. That has changed so significantly since the pandemic. Teams are now mostly built remote. The concept of everybody being in one place is like outdated. I still think the teams that are the most successful are the ones that come together all the time. However, that's not what's happening. So we do have space for you to grow. If you were to come in with a big team because you have the capital to build that team, we're open for that as well. But just the way we engage with you might be different, because you're not looking for the type of advising we would typically be providing for the teams that we have.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Mandar.
You mentioned spring and fall. Hey, thanks for the information thus far. You mentioned spring and fall recruitment cycle. So when is the next available or next first recruiting cycle?
Yeah, so that will start off at the beginning of next year, 2025, and the cohort will be around April, just in time for our summer.
Got it.
Yep. So the fall is like October, November, and the spring is like April, May.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, I'm going to move it right along. Oh, wait, I didn't talk about the programs. Duh. Okay, so programs are not that complicated. We have a series of things that we offer programmatically. And these are things that we've learned by listening to the founders while they've been with us. The programs that we provide for the teams at the garage, we're our own customer discovery. So Founder Circle is a weekly meeting that I host over lunch for all of the founders at the garage. And it's about an hour and a half long. And we use OKRs, objectives and key results, which maybe you know of, maybe you do not know. It's just a way to set quarterly goals and keep track on how you are approaching meeting those goals. So that serves as the framework for how we run Founder Circle. But if I'm being really honest with you, Founder Circle is kind of like group therapy for founders. You're sitting around a bunch of founders who know what you're doing and how hard it is. And you can ask them for help. You can talk about your troubles, but you can also talk about your successes. It's really a great way for us to socialize and get to know each other and provide each other support and resources and keep each other accountable. So it's been a really great element to the garage, and some founders would argue that it's the best part of the garage. There's also another one that founders would argue is the best. I feel like they're good contenders. This is really how we build our founder community, is through Founder Circle. Then there's the Oceanside chat. The way that Founder Circle kind of looks in, the Oceanside chat is our way to kind of look out. So we bring in specialists, investors, people who I think have a value to add in terms of what they know, their skill sets. Somebody like a subject matter expert, they come and they do a 30 to 45-minute presentation of things that will be helpful in subjects that might be helpful to startups. I actually put the library for our past Oceanside chats. Ever since the pandemic, we've shifted them virtual and we've recorded all of them. We will never do them in person again. They're so much more valuable virtually, and they allow us this library. The library is public. You guys can use it. It's keyword searchable. So if you're looking for something very specific, hit it in the keyword search and see which topics and talks cover that. But this is our way of interacting with the broader startup and innovation communities across the globe. Because it's virtual, we can have talks with people on the other side of the planet, and that's really great. So that's what the Oceanside chats are for. They're kind of like mentor light. A lot of these people who come and do chats with us, they live in my back end, and I do warm introductions to them moving forward. So for instance, you might have missed an Oceanside chat. You really loved it. You've watched it 3 times. You love it so much. And now you kind of want to talk to that person. You would reach out to me and I would warm introduce you to that person. They are now considered a friend of the garage, and they're open and happy to make new connections like that. I know there's a question in the chat. I'm going to get to it. Okay, legal clinics. So we have a relationship with Stubbs Alderton, particularly with Kevin DeBray at Stubbs Alderton on a bi-monthly basis. Every 2 months, he comes in and does a legal clinic for us, which is basically, a sit-down lunch for anyone to ask him questions about their particular business or general questions about the legalities of startups. I do think that startups early stage often overlook some of the more important elements of keeping the screws really tight around their business. Kevin DeBray cannot offer direct legal advice because that would be a breach. However, he can talk about things in generalities, and oftentimes that's exactly enough to help teams steer in the right direction and start actually thinking about their business from the legal perspective, so that they don't get shut down or whatever. VC Angel office hours, that is our way of having you meet and network with our investors. However, it's not a demo day style try to get investment program. In fact, it's very different from that. Investors who might not even invest in your industry or whatever would participate. The idea of VC Angel office hours is basically for teams to put together a 10-minute pitch, and then investors in a kind of speed dating style way tell you everything you're doing wrong in your pitch. Part of this is super valuable because the likelihood of you being told all the reasons people tell you no is very unlikely. There's no incentive for investors to be that brutally honest with you in the real world. So VC Angel office hours creates a safe space for you to be told what's wrong with your pitch from an investor's perspective, so that you can start thinking about it in those terms, especially if you are planning on fundraising. The ISI Tech Exchange is our way of interacting with the Information Sciences Institute. That's kind of like where we're positioned. So the building that we're in is one of the two towers in Marina del Rey. You might have seen them, they're enormous. The South Tower almost entirely is filled with the Information Sciences Institute, which is a research institute at Viterbi. We take up a suite on the 5th floor, and so we want to engage with them. These researchers, faculty members, PhD students, they're all researching the latest and greatest elements in all of the different facets of technology. And so, you know, if you are building something and have questions, technical questions, things that you would maybe go to an advisor about, we try to set up ad hoc these exchanges where at least 3 teams come together, put together a small deck and present it, technical challenges to a group of ISI researchers, and then they kind of weigh in on what they think maybe you should be doing or how you should be doing it. And then Summer Smasher, this is arguably the other best thing the Garage does, is our summer program where we bring students from the university to come do 8 weeks of project work for our teams. It's a free resource, meaning you do not have to pay these students. The students are getting educational components through a faculty that does programming through the Summer Smasher, which is the second prong in the 2-prong approach to how we provide this program to students. So on one side, they're getting real world experience by doing projects for you. And on the other side, they're getting you know, a really kind of fast-paced understanding on if they wanted to be a startup founder, if they were an entrepreneur at heart, if they wanted to start a business, how could they do that themselves? I mean, I can gush and go on about how wildly successful and you know, how appreciated and accepted it is as a program on both sides. Students love it, teams love it. But to be honest, you know, it is what I just said. And what I tell teams most of the time is you get what you put in. So it's not a good program for all startups. I'll let you know that. If you are too busy and you do not have the bandwidth to manage a small team of super talented students, then Summer Smasher is not a good idea. However, most of the teams take advantage of this resource, even if it is taking 1 or 2 students to do small projects for them. And it's, I mean, it turns teams around. I should probably do testimonials just so you guys can hear it from startup founders themselves. Startup founders kind of come back from the dead from Summer Smasher, which is amazing. Okay, programs. Oh, let me just go back so it's up. Does anyone have any questions about programs? Nothing? Okay. Resources. So we have in-person resources, much of what, oh wait, before I go on, let me answer this question. Does the garage provide support grant for incorporation? So the garage doesn't have like grants that we can add you to. There's really no funding mechanism at the garage itself. There is technically, hold on just a second. Alexa, stop. So there is Viterbi Venture Fund, which is like the venture arm out of Viterbi. The managing director for the Viterbi Venture Fund is also the director of the garage. That's probably the biggest link. They don't really operate together, but he's constantly looking for good startups to invest in. And so the garage actually provides him a nice pool to spend some time with to get teams to fill out, you know, their portfolio. But I think that it's a follow-on and it expects you to have a lead investment already. And it can't be like an angel investor, it has to be institutional. And so there's a lot to be said about the Viterbi Venture Fund, probably not for this talk, but there is an element of investment opportunity, but it isn't just directly through the garage. We do actually have a few resources to provide you strategic support in getting grant funding, like SBIR, STTR stuff. But, you know, in terms of us providing that, we don't have anything that we can give in that regard. Hopefully that answered that question. Let me see, is it worth me to scroll? Okay, I'm just gonna go on. Okay, so we have the office space. And we have office space accoutrement, right? Coffee, snacks, maruchan, or is it cup noodle? It doesn't matter. We have noodles in case you're that bootstrapped. And honestly, 24/7 access and ramen might be enough for you to survive the first 2 years of bootstrap startup life. So that comes with the residency. And the virtual resources, as I mentioned, are all of the program stuff, but then we also have a really great resource in our internal mentorship program, the Innovators in Residence. They set aside time in Calendly form for you to book 30 minutes to talk with them about strategy, to, you know, mull over some problems you might have. It's kind of like a temporary advisory board in case you don't have one. It's a great place to build a relationship with a generalist who can help you better make decisions strategically as you're tracking towards your goals. They also are great for network connections. They know a lot of people, so you know they might know somebody you want to be connected with. At the end of the day, every program out there has a mentorship element. VSG, ours is the Innovators in Residence. Darren Berkovitz, Julie Pentiskus, and Dana Aiken are our internal mentors who provide you support. Okay, any questions about the resources? All right, moving on. We're almost at the end, by the way. Okay, so the community is kind of like 3 things. Number 1, we have startups. That's our main objective. We want startups. We want to engage with startups. We want startups to stay with us. We want to watch them grow for a year. We provide opportunities, not just through our programs, but through our network connections. And so, for instance, we are participating in Tech Week like most places. This cycle, we have a joint Tech Week event with Sunstone. It's going to be very clean tech oriented. It's being hosted at the garage. Solicitations for that event are on their way out in our newsletter and here, there, and everywhere. Our LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great place. Not to mention the Oceanside chats. And then there's also the I-Core program, which you may or may not be familiar with. So the I-Core program is the National Science Foundation program to provide money to early stage teams who are looking to really enhance their customer discovery so that they find the appropriate amount of product market fit so that they can go to market. It's specifically meant to support translating research from universities into commercial businesses. However, the regional programming, not the national cohort, the regional programming provides you the same amount of programmatic support without the funding, but all of the curriculum and the funnel is wide, meaning like you don't have to be researchers at universities to participate in I-Core regional programming. In fact, one of the things we talk about at the Garage is whether or not it actually makes sense for our teams to just do it, because it really does help you to speak the right type of language when it comes to building out your business and going to market. Things that investors want to hear, things that incubators and accelerators want to hear, grants, they want to know that you've done all this work. This kind of like creates a program to make sure that you've actually done it. And it's great to say that you have. Mentors. So on our webpage, in the landing page, all the way at the bottom, there's a way for you to apply to be a mentor at the Garage. Again, these are mentor lights. This is kind of like what I was talking about with the Oceanside chats. Usually people who apply for mentorship, I have them do an Oceanside chat, and then they kind of live in my network to provide links and connections to teams as needed. But we love new mentors. We love new specialists. We love new investors. So please, by all means, let people know that the Garage is always looking to grow our family. And so that's how we support each other. And then students, as I mentioned, oh shoot, I should have made that 2024. Students, if you are on the call and interested in engaging at the Garage, you might be too early because it's hard to be full-time if you're also a student. But the Summer Smasher is a great way for you to engage with us. And so we do Summer Smasher info sessions, and those will happen near the beginning of the year in 2025. Geez, I haven't updated that in like 2 years. That's embarrassing. Okay, any questions about VSG community stuff? I think this is going really well. No questions? Fantastic. Okay, so applications live now. The deadline is the 29th. I say this every time. We typically extend our deadline. That doesn't mean you should apply late. Please apply on time, because the extension is not like promised. So I would say, forget I mentioned it. No, I do say it on purpose for the only reason in that our program kickoff oftentimes shifts because of it. So just keep that in mind. I doubt any of you will be homeless for a period of time if the Garage isn't available for you. However, I don't know that. I just want to make sure that these dates are reflective of the reality. And so just to be clear, the deadline is on the 29th. The extension will likely occur, probably, which means that the late April kickoff, not late, that shouldn't say April, that should say November. Darn, 2 places I didn't update. So this should say November. The late November kickoff could change. Okay. And then Summer Smasher are very, very light dates because those can also shift. I'm going to switch off of this because the dates are all stupid and wrong. Oh my gosh, the application deadline here is wrong too. Did I spend no time updating this? Okay, so just ignore March 31st. It's September 29th, as it shows. So that's the QR code for the application. Here's the QR code for the Thai website. It's also in the chat. Moving right along. You can also book a chat with me. Office hours are great ways to talk about your application or anything that you might want to know specifically about your business, things that maybe you're uncomfortable to ask here. And then booking a visit is pretty painless. You just book a visit, I'll expect you, and then I can show you the Garage. It's also a great way for me to know that you will be actually able to come to the Garage, is that you come to the Garage one time. So keep that in mind. I'm not suggesting all of you guys book visits. That sounds insane. But at the end of the day, I'm there. I'm available to host you for a short time. Okay, that's it for the screen share. Now, does anyone have any questions about the garage, about your team? It could be anything. This is the time to ask, because I don't want to answer it via email. Let's see. Oh, there's a new message. Can you share the updated slides via email? Sure. Does the garage, oh, no, I already answered that. Yeah, I will share the updated slides via, you know what I'll do is I'll just quickly edit them and then do a quick reply to everybody. As I hope all of you guys are on the calendar invitation, I'll do a quick reply to everybody on there. Anyone else? I wish you guys would talk to me, but that's okay. I don't like, maybe I'm just giving you guys that mother guilt, which also comes with the garage, by the way. If you ever wanted somebody watching over your business that like gives you the like bringing orange slices to the soccer game vibes, that's me. No one? Oh, hey, I got a virtual laugh.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Miss Navarro. Firstly, apologies because I just joined right when about you were finishing. I was really caught up, and I'm also in India, so it's like 1:40 a.m. here.
Okay. Well, let's just start the whole presentation over, shall we? I'm kidding.
No, not required. I'm really sorry to have joined late, but I just have one quick question that I just want to understand. So I'm not associated with USC in any way. All right. And I had applied just individually by myself. I have a startup, which is a social networking app. We have over 5 million downloads and everything. So I was wondering that is this program open to people who are not associated with USC? And also, again, I'm really sorry if you've already mentioned this in the presentation, but is this like a paid program, or is it like an incubator that helps startups, get funding and like, gives all the support?
Yeah, two things that I definitely talked about, but now everyone can see why I say that, right? This is because these are real questions. They are frequently asked questions. So the number one question that you had is, do you need USC affiliation? The answer is no. As long as you are local in Los Angeles and can come and work out of the space 3+ days a week, that is as much affiliation as you need. You need to be LA based and use the space 3 days a week. So yeah, I know you are currently in India. I don't know if that's for a visit or if that's where your business is located and that's where you work. However, if that's not the case and you are just visiting and you are from LA, then the garage is a great place. The second question is, it's a free resource. I know it's hard to believe in this day and age that anything could ever be free because everything costs $1 million, but the garage is, for now, a totally free resource. The dean of Viterbi, Yanis Yortsos, who we love, he puts money into this program so that we can provide resources and connections and stuff through USC to the general startup ecosystem in Silicon Beach. Why? Because we want to be a part of that conversation. We want to be the leaders in that conversation. And so the best way to do that is to provide free resource. Teams at early stages, man, you guys are so capital, what is it called? Like constrained. To charge you anything would be awful. So no, free.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And also, I will look into maybe the presentation or the deck or anything if you could share it after this.
You know what I'll do is I'll wait until the Zoom recording completes, and then I'll send the deck and the video to everybody who participated.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions?
I have a quick question about the residency,
Yeah.
right? You say 3 days a week. Does that has to be like Monday through Friday, or is it like include weekends, or is it like 9 to 5, or is it like anytime after hours is all fine? Or what were you thinking with respect to that?
So the 3+ is like a very kind of like random metric. It's just a like almost half of the week. The garage is open to founders 24/7. So you get a little key card that lets you in the building. You can go in at midnight if you wanted to. The building will be closed. There's always a guard in the lobby. And they make you sign in when it's after hours. But the key card will operate the glass doors so you can get into the building, and they'll operate the elevator so you can get to the 5th floor where we are. And all of the doors still work with your key card. So it's 24/7 access. If your 3+ days were in the middle of the night every week, is that like a hack so that you can get in but not be a part of the community? Maybe. But no, I think of it more of like a relative element of engagement. You know, in order for you to build a good relationship with us and the teams, we have to see you, we have to be around you, we have to have off the cuff connections. And so 3+ opportunities to engage. Think about it that way. I go in 9 to 5. Teams are there before I show up, and teams are there well after I leave. You guys are on startup time, and you know, more power to you. So it really all depends on how you operate.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we have to be understanding, right? Like your business might be developing here in LA, but maybe your entire customer segment is on the East Coast. That changes your operation times 100%. Or if you're launching internationally before you bring it into the American market because you're trying to avoid, I don't know, some sort of regulation or constraint, that makes your hours even more wonky. So we understand that. We're not trying to like force you to work at certain times if it doesn't make sense for your business. I think it's more on us just checking to see, like, do you want to be at the garage? Like, are you interested in being around us? Like, are you okay with showing up? That's kind of the bigger question when we say 3+ days. Any other questions? I love that question. Thank you, Jade.
Hi, I have a question follow up from that. I'm wondering, like, does all of the member need to be in LA and go into the garage 3 days a week? My situation is I'm a USC alumni. I just graduated this year, but I have a project that I'm working with and start doing it with the professor. But I also have a team overseas. So when I apply, do I include like my team overseas as a co-founder if they cannot participate, or I apply just by myself?
Apply with your team. Make it clear that you have a team. Applying by yourself would probably hurt your application more than anything. We want to know that you have support. The way that we kind of break down the expectations for founders and co-founders is we want both co-founders. If there's 2, if there's more than that, you know, the more the merrier. At least one of you needs to be at the space. So if like if you're local and your co-founder is somewhere else, you know, like maybe they're in NorCal and that's strategic. You know, we're not trying to post you up in one place if it doesn't make sense. And so, but at least one of the founders needs to be coming in, keeping us up to date, participating with the community. What happens is you become that link for VSG to the rest of your team. And they get that community engagement through you. And so, you know, that's kind of how I would say we think about it when we're making decisions. Is as long as one of the founders is showing up, participating, engaging, that's good.
Thank you very much. That's helped a lot.
Yeah. Question in the chat, Mauricio, do we have parking? Wouldn't that be nice? No. So the garage we're like renters of ISI who lease the space from Brookfield Buildings, and even Brookfield, which is just like what is it called? A real estate corporation. They don't even own the parking in between the 2 towers. It's like a whole other company, and they want to drain us of every amount of money that we have. It's like $27 to park there a day. So absolutely not. But I've done my part in working with Beaches and Harbor to find out where the cheapest and best places to park. I park at Dock 52. It's like a 5-minute stroll along the water. It's beautiful. And it's free. There's closer parking that you pay like $6 for the day. So yeah, I mean, it's really up to you how you want to spend that walk to the office and walk back. I think the free parking at Dock 52 is perfect. Even on a hot day like this. So hopefully that answers your question, Mauricio. Yeah.
Yeah, I had another question. I didn't ask this first because I think it's okay, but I just want to make sure since we're asking. I am working full time. I'm the co-founder of the company. It's going very well, but I am also enrolled in grad school at USC. I'm doing my master's. I don't think that's a problem, but I wanted to be sure about that.
Yes. So are you a solo founder?
No, I have two co-founders.
Is anyone full-time?
Yeah, all of them are full-time. I mean, I would also consider myself as full-time as well, but they're not enrolled to any schools. Let me just say it like that.
As a student, I feel like you're not wrong. You can be a full-time, so I'm currently in graduate school right now at USC. And I consider myself full-time at my job. But my job is not like what a startup founder is up against in terms of just like complete dedication and tunnel vision and getting it from one stage to the next. I'm not saying it's impossible. In fact, the sad reality is that founders more and more are having to moonlight their businesses just because, especially in LA, just living and breathing in LA, you can't bootstrap that anymore. So I get it. We don't like it. We want to see you dive 2 feet into the business for one reason mainly, which is that if you ever want to get funding, if you don't have faith in your business to jump in 2 feet, an investor is going to wonder why, because they're taking a risk and you're the one who knows all about the business and you're not willing to take that risk. So a lot of it has to do with just kind of like the fear of the unknown. But then again, I think that what needs to happen is a new evolution of understanding that like, that's all great and dandy for people with money. Like if you don't have money, then how do you live? So it's a constant negotiation. In terms of your question, I think that as long as you can come and work out of the space as many times as we expect you to, whether or not you're kind of like splitting your time with your schoolwork or splitting your time with maybe a job, to us, that's none of our business, as long as you are working on your business and at the garage, because we're going to hold you accountable.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, so like I hope that answers your question. It's kind of a gray area, and the way that we vet teams through our application is by negotiating some of the things we don't like against the things that we really do like. So find a way to make sure that your application takes these maybe things that aren't perfect, but shows that you have the wherewithal to be really strategic about it so that it isn't going to hurt the business. So
yeah, of course. Yeah, I think that's totally doable. I think we have enough credentials to kind of show that I'm very committed full time, and so it should be all good.
Chris had a question saying, can you see your applications after it's been submitted or make edits? I don't have like an automation set up for the application to be sent out to teams once they submit it. I wish I did. I should probably set that up just because it's useful for you, especially because by the time we review applications, some things might have changed that you want to let us know. I would say if you feel like you want to update your application because something big time happened and you want us to know about it, email me at vsg@usc.edu. I'll just drop it in the chat and let me know. This way I can either change it for you on the back end, or I'll send you a copy of your application, which is like a manual process. And then you can use it to reapply and copy paste so you don't have to do everything again and then just add whatever you changed. Not the most ideal. If it's something super easy that you just want me to update some section, then it's probably easier for you to just send me the thing you want me to update. or I don't know. I'm not sure what's easiest. It really all depends. But email me with your problem and I'll try to solve it. If you apply 2 times and you don't say anything to me, my assumption is your second application is your most recent application and I will ignore the last application. So keep that in mind too. Okay, is that it for everybody? Doesn't it feel like a Friday or is that just me? What is it, Wednesday? Happy.
I have one last question.
Yes.
So currently I'm working on my project as research assistant under professor. He like helped me up with my visa status.
Yeah.
But while you say like full-time founder, do we need to like officially create like a legal entity and like hire me like legally or something like that? Or it's just like the time we commit?
Yeah, so I think there isn't some like formed approach for me to measure your commitment to the business. Whatever it is that you guys are building, there is a question on the form whether or not you've incorporated in any way legally. So I don't know if that's true or not for your current startup. You'll be asked it explicitly about your business. Like if you're a C Corp or Delaware, like it'll ask. I don't know if that's the case for you. In terms of time commitment, I mean, it's really just about how much, whether or not you're distracted, right? We want to make sure that nothing is pulling your time and energy away that is going to put the business at jeopardy. We all have other responsibilities. Work-life balance is a thing, and startup founders really struggle with it. So obviously this isn't me suggesting that if you're married or have children that you should abandon those responsibilities. But if you have like another job that takes a lot of your time and attention away from the business, that's not a good position to be in, especially if you want other people to suggest that you are in a position to actually take your startup to the next major phase, which while you're with us, we're hoping that you get funding. We want to see our teams at the garage get either their first round of funding or their second round of funding. So, or to do something else that's really great, like launch their product and start getting customers so that they are now beyond that place where they are bootstrapping and now their revenue is positive and they're living off of the revenue of their customers. Like that's huge. So those are the types of successes we want to see. And that's hard to do when you are distracted.
Yeah. I'm not so worried about getting distracted. Like the position I have is just to maintain my visa, so I'm fully work full time on my project. I'm just not sure how the garage.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna be like
full time
W-2s or no, we're not gonna like check anything. No.
Oh, okay.
The garage is not a silly place. It's not silly at all. These are real businesses. We're really trying to be successful. At the end of the day, though, the informality of the garage is perfect in that, you know, life is really serious. Startups, very serious. Getting funding, going to market, getting customers, all very serious. We try to make sure that we're building a community that takes those things seriously, but doesn't do it in like the most stuffy office culture way possible. In fact, we kind of try to avoid that and stick to like more of community aspect office work where, you know, you should be comfortable. It's like a family. It's like a home and a family. That's as close as I can describe it. And the way it feels should feel like home, like another safe space for you as a founder when you're not at your actual house. The garage is like a second home for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions? All right, y'all. I guess it's time to release you back into the real world to go work on your businesses, get it going. Yeah, so we will be in touch about applications. You know, once the application closes, we can start sending out notifications about interviews or about extensions. So stay tuned for that. Looking forward to all of your applications. See you all later. Bye.